The Infinix Hot 30 Play might not blow your mind in terms of the performance, but it has a solid place in the budget market right now. This smartphone for about $120 is all about being a reliable device that doesn't break the bank. So I'm going to share with you guys what I found out using the Infinix Hot 30 Play for the past 1 week. Now onto the unboxing. Out of the box, you get everything you need for a modern budget smartphone. From the smartphone itself to the X Club card and MTN gift card, a SIM ejector, a TPU case to protect this device, an 18-watt fast charger, a pair of earphones, and a USB Type-A to C connector. Moving on to the design on this device, Infinix may try to sell you on this design with its fancy pattern on the rear, but in reality, it's just a plain plastic with a not so impressive camera module design. The camera module design feels like someone was trying so hard not to seem like they copied someone else's assignment. But hey, at least the front has a modern cutout notch, and you also get a decent fingerprint sensor on the power button for security. There's also this face unlock feature on the smartphone, which isn't something I'd really trust here. I actually do prefer the trusty fingerprint scanner on the smartphone. The display is a large and tall 6.82-inch panel with 720p resolution and a 90Hz refresh rate. It's decent but not the brightest you'd get under direct sunlight outdoors. While still talking about the design here, the bezels on this display are visibly large, but this is actually expected around this price point. Now the Hot 30 Play is quite light and you still retain the audio jack. There is a USB-C port, a single downfiring speaker, and a dual SIM tray with a dedicated microSD card slots for memory expansion. Overall, I have no issue with the build quality here. It is as good as expected for the price point. Now the display is quite a large and tall one like I mentioned. You get a 6.82-inch panel with the HD resolution, so 720p and not full HD. Interestingly, you get a 90Hz refresh rate for smoother scrolling and gameplay. Now for the titles that can take advantage of this feature, that's when you can use this 90Hz refresh rate. But generally, the processor on here is not one that would really take advantage of this for, heavy titles or gameplays. While this display is decent at best, it isn't the best display to use directly under sunlight, and this isn't the brightest display in that kind of situation. So for the display, this is decent and ticks all the boxes there is for a good media experience and a budget device as well. The single downfiring speaker is not the best. In fact, when you play EDM at maximum volume here, you can hear the distortion. Now this isn't bass heavy, just the basic speaker or audio system you get from cheap budget devices. When compared to the predecessor, I don't think anything really did change as far as the performance on the smartphone. The only major difference would be the RAM size, which seems to have doubled, and the Android operating system here has been upgraded also. While we get Android 12 from the predecessor, the Hot 20 Play, you get Android 13 on here. So look at it this way. If that device did get software updates, this is likely what it should have been. In fact, they share the same display, same battery size, and even charging brick. This Infinix Hot 30 Play is being powered by the MediaTek Helio G37 processor with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, which is expandable using the microSD card slot. It's decent for regular smartphone use, but don't expect to play the most intensive games without experiencing some lags and stutters on the smartphone. When it comes to gaming, especially for heavy titles, you don't expect to get the best experience. Of course, this is a budget smartphone and you're bound to have those lags and stutters. Even jaggy graphics for titles like PUBG in my experience, you get balanced graphics and medium frame rates. In fact, my thumb kept hitting the wrong button out of the box, and that has something to do with the scaling for a 720p display. Of course, I know the buttons are resizable and you can rearrange the buttons while playing this game, but that is something you get out of the box before you have to rearrange the buttons. So that was expected for this device. Now, as far as the Android version you get on here, Android 13 with XOS 12.6 is what you see on the Infinix Hot 30 Play. Now there are a ton of bloatware apps pre-installed on the smartphone. It actually got annoying seeing a lot of ads pop up the notification pane with this device. But brands do this most times to recoup money from ads so they can sell these devices at a subsidized price. Most of the apps can be pre-installed, by the way. You should also note that this smartphone wouldn't likely come with expectations for an update in terms of the Android version on here that's into the future, as there's no official word from Infinix in that regard. Now let's talk about the cameras you get on here. You get a dual camera setup at the rear with an LED flash, the main sensor being a 16 megapixel sensor, and the second lens is the depth sensor. The reason I could tell that was a depth sensor was when I covered the second lens and tried taking photos in portrait mode, there was a prompt that kept indicating that a lens was being covered. And flipping over to the front side, you still get an 8 megapixel sensor also with LED flash. Under the right lighting, I'd say you get decent photos for around $120. You'd of course clearly see that this smartphone isn't going to give you jaw-dropping images. You can expect a lot of washed out images from this one if the lighting condition isn't right. I'd love for you guys to tell me what you think about the photos taken here. Do you love them? I would want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Now for me, there are just a few I could work with. Videos on the other hand cap out at 1080p 30fps for both the rear and front facing cameras. Not the best in terms of the dynamic range you get on here for the selfies, but hey, it gets the job done. Now the battery here is a massive 6000 mAh battery, which is a real standout feature. It charges from 0 to 100 in around 2 hours, and that is using the 18 watts charging brick from within the box. That's what you find when unboxing this pack. There is nothing to complain about here, as this device has taken me into the next day with no complaints as far as the battery use is on here. When you charge this device, you would also notice that there's an LED flash in the front top right corner of the screen here, which serves as a charging indicator and also to take your selfies using an LED flash. Overall, the Infinix Hot 30 Play is targeted at people who want to consume media and not worry about their battery life, hence the tall display and the 6000 mAh battery. It's a reliable device for regular smartphone use, but don't expect it to perform like a flagship device. If you're on a tight budget, this could be the perfect device for you. But if you already own the Infinix Hot 20 Play from last year, I don't think this could be a worthy upgrade. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, and check out my review on the Infinix Note 12 here. Call it that day.